Yo! What's up, Kamey?
What's up? Charlamagne was
What's
good.
up, Syracuse? Getting something for the snap right now. Just getting something for the snap. Okay? We out here. All right. So what's up?
What's good?
Oh, let me post this snap real quick. Hold on one second.
Wait,
Let me get this snap off. Let me get this snap off. Okay.
I'm feeling salty, Charlamagne.
I'm sorry, Kamey. We good.
Right.
Phone's on Do Not Disturb. What's happening?
All right. So thank you guys so much for coming out to Live Your Truth with Charlamagne the God. As was mentioned in his bio, he's from South Carolina. Anybody from South Carolina in the audience?
Crickets.
Damn. It's quiet for you, Charlamagne.
Wow.
All right. How about New York? New York in the building?
That's my second home.
Yeah, New York showed up. Do you ever like rep New York? Like, would you rep New York over South Carolina?
Never.
All right,
The reason I say never, I'm gonna tell you the reason I say never is because I've been fired 4 times, right? So, God forbid if all of this stops tomorrow, I gotta go home, and I'm not gonna go home and they're gonna be like, you wasn't repping us when you was hot, when you was all on TV in the Breakfast Club. So nah, I gotta go home.
All right, cool. So we at Syracuse University, baby, and this is a lit school, so we're gonna have to get lit for my snap, but I'm gonna let you record it.
I saw what y'all.
Right.
I saw what y'all did to Fetty Wap last week. Fetty Wap ain't show up.
Yeah, them oranges was all on his Instagram.
Right.
You don't play.
No
Absolutely
doubt.
not. All right, so you can hold this.
Okay.
All right.
What, I just hit record?
Yeah. So
Why?
I can put
Okay.
it on Instagram and Snap.
Hold on. Okay. All right.
All right. Let's get it lit, y'all. Wait, you gotta be in it.
Okay.
Too,
There go
like
Kamey. All right. Hold on. Boom. There go Kamey.
Yo.
There go me. And there go Syracuse. Yeah. Okay.
All right, cool. So, let's get into it. So,
Let's
how
do it.
do you think living in South Carolina has influenced why you chose to work in media?
Oh man, why I chose to work in media? Honestly, I was just looking to do something positive because when I was living in Moncks Corner, South Carolina, I was just like a bad seed from bad sperm. Like I was just crazy. I was very disruptive in school, and I ended up getting expelled from one high school. And then my mother's an English teacher, so they transferred me to the high school she was at, thinking that was gonna calm me down. But I still was wilding. And then, I ended up getting arrested for an assault and battery charge, just, in a car, and some shots were fired. So they literally came and arrested me from the high school. And, after that, I just had a couple more situations where I was just getting in trouble, getting locked up for distribution of cocaine, distribution of marijuana. And it just came a point in my life where I said, man, in order to change my life, I got to change my lifestyle. So it's just like one weekend I got out of jail and I was like, F that, I'm not doing this no more.
Yeah.
I went and started working mad odd jobs. I worked at Taco Bell. I worked at a clothing store in the mall that don't even exist no more. It's called Demo. I did telemarketing. I was the guy that would call your house and try to sell you 20 CDs for a penny.
Oh my God.
And I used to rap as well, like every black man in the hood, And I met this guy at the studio one night. His name was Willie Will, and he worked at Z93 Jams in Charleston. And I just asked him, I'm like, how'd you get in the radio? And he was like, I went down there and got an internship. And I'm like, is that easy? Now, mind you, this is 1998 in Charleston, South Carolina. Things are a lot more tougher to get an internship now. But he was like, yes. I went down there, filled out the internship papers, and literally just caught that radio bug. And I was just like, yo, this is what I want to do with my life, because I didn't have a plan B. I didn't, go to college. Y'all, everybody in this room got a leg up on me because y'all are, in school and y'all are building that foundation, with education. I didn't have that. So for me, my internships, working at those radio stations all those years, that was my college. But that was just something that I didn't even necessarily know I was good at because I was just going into the radio, not even knowing how to do radio. I'd literally go on the microphone drunk and high and just talk. That's probably why I ended up getting fired 4 times from different stations, but now I get paid to do what they used to fire me for.
Right, let them know. So you said that they directly arrested you from the high school. So what grade was that? How old were you?
I was, I think I was a junior in high school. So I think I was like 16 years old. Yeah, and it was weird because I thought that I was going to like go to jail and like get out, like how when you go to the principal's office, because that's what I was used to, getting in trouble, going to the principal's office, getting your discipline, and then you're going about your way. But sitting there for a day, Nope, still here. Then I had to write a statement, and I wrote this whole fictional story about how I was hitchhiking and jumped into a car with some strangers.
Oh
I don't know
my
who the
God.
people were. You know us, no snitching, you know, and like they was like, you know what, we was gonna let you out, but you sent us on this wild goose chase. And so I ended up being there for like 6 months, something like that. Because my father wanted to teach me a lesson. Yeah, I was fresh out of high school. My father could have bailed me out, but he was like, yo, I was getting in so much trouble. My father used to always tell me, you're gonna end up in jail, dead, or broke sitting under the tree somewhere. And so he was really trying to like teach me the hard way. Like, this is what life is really about.
Right.
This is where you're gonna end up if you keep going the route that you're going. So I appreciated that at the end of the day.
So like you said, not everyone can be at Syracuse. Not everyone can be Charlamagne the God. So what is your advice?
I'm special.
So what is your advice to young black men, particularly, you know, who are in the hood, who are struggling, you know, have some of the same behaviors that you used to have? What would you tell them?
I would tell them that the streets is whack. I would tell them that the hood don't love you. You know, I think the mentality you should have is F the hood. And when I mean F the hood, I don't mean F the hood like F your neighborhood. I mean F all the hood ways, all the hood mentality, you know, the you gotta sell dope to be cool, or you gotta pack a gun to be cool, or you gotta be the toughest, hardest dude to be cool. And it's so funny because my pops used to be beating that in my head when I was young. He used to be like, all the hard dudes I know are in jail or dead. And you know, as I grew up and got older, he was absolutely right. The same thing that happened in his generation happened in my generation. All the tough dudes I know, all the dudes who stayed in the street and were hard, they ended up doing long prison terms, or you know, a lot of them ended up dead. And like, that's the reality of the situation. Somebody has to break that cycle, man. And I feel like, I love hip hop, but I feel like, you know, it was a generation of hip hop that glorified that and celebrated that a little too much.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, it programmed a lot of kids the wrong way, man. That's why I really embrace this new era. Like, you know, all of these dudes that, you know, you'll hear like street rappers be like, oh, these guys are the weirdo rappers. No, those guys are actually the guys that are living life the way they're supposed to live. You know what I mean? Like, they not out here glorifying the drug culture, celebrating the gang culture. I appreciate the Chance the Rappers and the Wale's and the Kendrick Lamars, the J. Cole's, guys that are just truly being themselves, you know, and using their brains, using their minds. So that's what I would tell anybody in here, man. Don't let nobody define you. Don't let what hip hop says you should be define you. Just truly be yourself, you know, and just strive to do positive things. You only get one life. There's no redos, man. None whatsoever. I hate when people be like, oh, I'm from the hood. We don't get those opportunities. Well, go create them. You know what I'm saying? Simple and plain. We know that, you know, the system is already rigged against us, stacked against us. How many of y'all seen the documentary 13 on Netflix? Like, for me, personally, that's all I need to see to know, like, yo, I got to go out there and get it, because nobody's going to give it to me.
Right.
You know? So it's just like, I would tell every kid from the hood, man, empower yourself and, you know, try to be in rooms like this. Like, I come here, I love this energy, man. I love seeing all of y'all in here trying to get y'all degrees and majoring in different fly stuff. Like, that's something I wish I had done, you know, and that's something that I'm gonna make sure my daughters do, because that's something that I feel like I missed out on. There's no telling where I could have been in life right now if I had had that, you know, foundation of education. Well, let me rephrase, that foundation of certification, because I think it's a difference between certification and education. I think that, you know, you get your bachelor's degree and your associate's degree, that's certification, but I think I have a pretty good education when it comes to this thing called life.
Cool. So if you didn't go directly down to that radio station that day, how would you have created that opportunity for yourself?
That's a good question, man, because I didn't have the tools and resources that y'all got now. Like, you know, I was watching the promo video, and that's real. Like, you know, millennials have the chance to create their own platforms. Like, they don't have to wait for nobody to put them on.
Yeah.
You know, I know for me, one of the ways that I got heard, I remember one of the times I got fired, I created a mixtape, and it was called Charlamagne the God Concrete Champ, and it was actually a radio air check. If you don't know what a radio air check is, it's when you know, it's like you doing a radio show, but you're just recording your breaks, and that's what you send to different program directors. And
so kind of like a video reel, but
kind of like a video reel, but just audio, exactly. So I did one of those with all of the artists that were on the label, because I used to do A&R work for a label called Never So Deep Records. So I did one, and I used their music as the backdrop, and I did interviews on it, and I did skits and stuff, and I just literally mailed that out. Like, I mailed it out to all the different radio stations, and a program director named Mike Love heard it. and he hired me. So, you know, I guess if I didn't use radio to get out, I would have figured something out. I would have made something shake. I mean, that's the beauty of just being resourceful. You know, everybody's naturally resourceful when you tap into that. The problem I have with a lot of kids in this generation is y'all have all the resources. So being that y'all have all the resources, sometimes it stifles your natural resourcefulness. You know, it's kind of like when you're growing up in South Carolina versus growing up in New York. You take for granted the fact that Def Jam's in your backyard, or you take for granted the fact that MTV's right there in Times Square and you live in Harlem, only 20 minutes away. You know, coming from South Carolina, like I had to be more imaginative and more resourceful because that wasn't in my backyard.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, so you said that you didn't go to college. Right now, if you were teenage Charlamagne, let's say the drugs is out, you know, prison, that's gone. What college you think you would have went to? Because CUSE is pretty lit, but I want to know where you see yourself as teenage Charlamagne if you could choose.
I probably would have went to any college that would have accepted my black ass. But I don't know, probably University of South Carolina because it was close to home. But I definitely would have went to school because I feel like, you know, when you graduate at 18 and you haven't really figured out what it is you want to do, college gives you some more time to figure it out. And you know, it's like being productive. It's like going to the gym. Like, you know, you're not hurting yourself by going to the gym. You're not hurting yourself. Yeah, it's not a bad thing to go to college. You come to school, you know, get some education, meet some beautiful women, you know what I'm saying? Like it's 4 years of actually just building, you know what I mean? It don't hurt.
Right. So right after you went down to that radio station, you mentioned that you had an internship with Wendy.
Yeah, well, actually it wasn't an internship, but with Wendy, I had already worked at 4 radio stations. I worked at 4 different radio stations by the time I got with Wendy. I worked at Z93 Jams in Charleston. That's where I started as an intern, worked in the promotions department, and was on air as a part-time radio personality. Then a new station came in the market called Hot 98.9. They hired me to do full-time, 7 to midnight, you know, 19 grand a year. That don't seem like no money, but you know, for a brother that used to sell dope, just having a salary, just being able to say that to my mom, I get a salary, Mom. That was fly. And then I ended up in Columbia working at the Big DM, and that company was owned by Inner City Broadcasting, which owned the company that Wendy worked at, WBLS in New York. And by that time, the internet was out. So I was sending all my interviews and stuff online. Like before it was all of these different hip hop sites, it used to be allhiphop.com and sohh.com. And I used to send my interviews to LC at All Hip Hop, and he used to post them in his rumors section. So that's when Wendy started hearing about the different things that I was doing. So when Wendy got syndicated on the station I was at, I'm gonna give y'all 2 lessons real quick. The first time I met Wendy, right, I walked in the room, and I'm being a pushy kid, like, yo, hi Wendy, you trying to give her my mixtapes and stuff. Wendy said to me verbatim, get the fuck out of here with that mixtape shit.
Oh my God.
Right? Now,
no, she didn't.
Yes, she did. She said, take that mixtape shit to my husband. Now, I could have been like salty and been like, damn, she just dissed me. But I took her advice. I took that mixtape shit to her husband. Her husband was in the next room.
Her husband was there?
Her husband was in the next room, so I took him the mixtape. He actually loved the mixtape. So, you know, that's how me and him started to build a rapport and have a relationship. And so then she started checking for me. You know, when her producers and stuff would come and be like, yo, you heard this Charlamagne interview. So she started checking for me and shouting me out. So long story short, you know, it was an opportunity that presented itself because she was looking for a co-host. I didn't even know she was looking for a co-host. She actually, her and her husband invited me to come to a party one week in New York. So I flew up to the party, and in the party, she was like, yo, come on my show tomorrow. So I came on her show, and I was there for like 25 minutes, and me and her just had a good chemistry, a good rapport. So that night, they offered me the position, and her husband was like, look, you know, we can't pay you, but we can give you a place to stay. How many of y'all would have took that opportunity if it wasn't a paycheck attached? Y'all the ones that's gonna win in life. Because that's what you gotta do sometimes. Sometimes you gotta recognize opportunity when it's not a paycheck attached. Right. So it was a no-brainer for me. It wasn't even something I had to think about. I'm in market number 98 in Columbia, South Carolina, and I'm about to be in New York City, the #1 market with one of the most legendary radio personalities ever.
Love at that.
Come on, man.
Yeah, that's priceless.
Give me a place to stay. All that other stuff like eating and stuff, I'll figure that out later.
Yeah. So was there anything particularly valuable that you learned from Wendy? Like, what did you take from her and your experience with her?
Oh man, a lot, man. I mean, you know, her work ethic is second to none. You know, as a radio personality, like her show prep is crazy. Like, you know, Wendy will read 3 newspapers and 5 magazines before every show. Like that was just her daily intake of content.
Right.
And on top of that, you know, I also learned that just her everyday life was, you know, content for her show. It wasn't just what she was reading in the various magazines, you know, or watching on TV. It was just her life that she would live, and she would take her life and bring it to the radio. And I mean, that's just invaluable knowledge, you know what I mean? Like she really was getting paid to be herself. But I think the biggest lesson I learned from her was that, you know, you gotta be of the people and not of the industry. Because, you know, when you're of the industry, you'll be sitting on that radio or on that TV, and you'll be thinking about not damaging your relationships, and you'll be thinking about wanting to get invited to this album release party, and you'll be thinking about, damn, when I see that artist, you know, he might question me about what I said about him. But, you know, when you just of the people and you're just sitting in a barbershop or sitting in a beauty salon or sitting online talking to people, you'll never lose that voice of the people. You'll always be speaking and saying the things that, you know, the people are saying. So that was the biggest jewel that I learned. I'd rather be of the people than of the industry, because the people will keep you employed. You know what I mean? Even if they fire me on the radio tomorrow, I still got podcasts and books to sell, and I can do speaking engagements because the people rock with me.
So what do you think are some things that you have done, you know, to gain that fan base, to gain the attention of the people?
It's funny, man, because I never was trying to get attention. All I ever wanted to do was just go out there and actually be the best radio personality that I could be. Like, that was my only goal. Like, I remember doing overnights one night. It was midnight. It was like I used to be on from 12 midnight to 5 in the morning, and I'm sitting in the studio in Charleston, South Carolina, and I was just like surfing the internet. This when the internet was really whack. Like, it was like dial-up. You used to make that noise, and like you used to have to really wait for pages to load, but everybody was just early with their websites and stuff. And I remember just looking, and I remember looking at like Tom Joyner, Doug Banks, you know, Wendy, Star and Buck Wild, Howard Stern, and I remember saying to myself, I'm gonna be that. Like, I want to do what they're doing. But the reason I wanted to do what they were doing, because to me, they were just simply the best radio personalities. And I just wanted to be a really dope radio personality. And I focused on constantly being a dope radio personality, and everything else falls into place. Like, I'm reading this book right now by Gary Zeller, and it's called This One Thing. And it talks about in life how you have to just focus on one thing. Like, everybody's so multi-distracted now. Like, we think just because we're doing 5 and 6 things at once that, oh, we're hustling, but yo, you ain't really focusing on one thing and being great at that one thing. You're not. So me, I owned my craft, I honed my craft. I just wanted to be the best radio personality, and just the attention came from me wanting to be great in that arena. Yeah.
So you mentioned a little bit earlier about how artists like Chance the Rapper, J. Cole, Kendrick, they're really changing the hip hop game in your eyes. How do you think radio has changed over time?
It hasn't.
From the days with Wendy and then now.
It hasn't. That's the problem. I feel like radio is a little stagnant. You know, I feel like we're not properly reflecting the culture the way that we need to. I feel like, you know, all these kids in here are consuming, you know, my bad, I didn't mean to say kids, young adults. All these young adults in here are consuming music via the internet. You know, radio's not breaking artists no more. Like, Fetty Wap didn't break because of the radio. Fetty Wap broke because he had 30 million listeners on SoundCloud. People like Young M.A. broke online. Even if you go back to like the generation before this, the Drakes, the J. Coles, Kendricks, we was getting their mixtapes offline. Radio wasn't playing their records at first. So I feel like, you know, radio's not doing a good job of reflecting the culture the way that it needs to be. That's why with the Breakfast Club, you know, we invite everybody to come do interviews. You know what I'm saying? Anybody that I feel like has an audience, anybody that's creating a buzz for themselves, I want to sit down and I want to chop it up with them. Because even though the radio station may not be playing their music, I am a fan of their movement, and I know that they have an audience, you know, and I know that, you know, people will go online to watch a Dave East interview, or people will go online to watch a Vic Mensa interview. Y'all want to hear from your favorite artists, and these guys, they don't have that outlet no more. The radio is their only outlet. So as far as the game changing on a radio changing on a content level, definitely the internet, because of all the YouTubes and stuff, we're able to record our videos and put those out, which I think the Breakfast Club revolutionized. You know what I mean? That's just me.
Yeah, you guys do a good job of that.
So, yeah, I think that's the only thing that has changed. But other than that, just regular traditional radio, terrestrial radio, they're still a little stagnant.
Yeah.
A little stagnant for my taste.
So you said that you recognize like something special in these artists that don't necessarily have a platform, and you bring them on.
Mm-hmm.
So has there been any artist or just anyone in general that you haven't yet brought on that you want to?
No, that's always a weird question for me because I don't ever look to want to interview anybody. Like, I mean, it's funny, certain things happen and I want to interview people. Like right now I want to sit down with Issa Rae. Only because I like Insecure on HBO. You know what I mean? I like the angle that she's taking with that show. So she's been on my mind lately to want to interview. But as far as artists, man, like if it's something I'm listening to, I'm like, when it comes up, like, yo, you want to interview such and such? I'm like, oh yeah, bring them in. But it's never something that I'm like
thinking about constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said that you're a fan of the artists that you bring on. I gotta ask this: were you a fan of Beanie Sigel?
Yeah, I'm still a fan of Beanie Sigel. I think Beanie Sigel's I think he's one of the dopest rappers out. But see, that's the thing, right? First of all, I don't think you should ever lose your fandom. I don't care what position you're in. I think as soon as you stop being a fan, you're done. So I would give that'd be my advice for any potential journalist in here, whether you want to do radio or TV, always approach it from a fan angle, you know? And with Beanie.
Do you think that comes off a little thirsty sometimes, or do you think there's a way to go about that?
I mean, I ain't saying suck their dick, but I'm just saying like, you can.
Charlamagne.
I'm just saying you can.
We accused.
My bad. you can celebrate people. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like we live in this era where if you don't like something, they call you a hater. If you like something,
they call you thirsty.
Yeah, you're thirsty. You're D-riding. Like no, we should be fine with celebrating people and saying that we're fans of people. But I have no problem being a fan. I have no problem quoting somebody's lyrics in front of them because I feel like that's what makes for good interviews when somebody's really a fan. But I've always been a fan of Beanie Sigel. I'm just an objective person. Like I can be a fan of you and
he could still be a hater.
I felt like he was coming off as a hater. If I don't like something that you're doing, I can still tell you that I don't like what you're doing and still be a fan of yours. That don't mean I dislike you. I'm just like, bro, you're moving kind of funny out here right now. You know?
Waka Flocka, he actually made a video on Instagram. I don't know if you saw it, and he was talking about how the older guys in the game.
I saw that.
Yeah, they're kind of hating on the youngins. So how do you feel about that? Like, do you think the old cats, like, their time is up, or you think they can make a comeback?
Nah, I think we're in the best time for hip hop right now because you do have those OGs in the game who are still very relevant. But you know, the way for OGs to remain relevant is to embrace the youth and let kids be kids. That's what I was trying to tell Beanie Sigel. Like, you can't tell kids how they should dye their hair or tell kids how they should wear their pants. Like, yo, you had state property clothing. State property clothing had hidden pockets for you to hide your gun and your drugs. Like, that was your selling point. Like, literally, he was in magazines saying, you can wear this hoodie and it got the hidden pockets for you to put your gun, cops can't, like, that's just as ridiculous as skinny jeans to me. You know what I mean? So it's like
I was looking at your jeans like
they look. I mean,
they're a little fitted, but
they fit. Yeah, I like the way my size. I don't want to be the baggy guy no more. Baggy is like 90s. I don't want to look like I came out of a state property video. But you know, I do feel like a lot of times older people do hate on the young artists simply because they don't understand them, and it makes me cringe because I literally remember, man. It had to be like 93, 94. I love Death Row. I love Wu-Tang. So, you know, I had my Chuck Taylors on. I had a big ass afro like Snoop, had the cornrows. And I remember, yo, my pops, you think you Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg's garbage. My pops hated Snoop. And I'm like, and I look my pops in his eyes and I go, I don't want to be Snoop. I want to be Method Man and Redman. My daddy had no idea who they were, so he thought I was on drugs. He was like, what the hell are you talking about? And then when he finally started listening to music, he was like, yo, these guys are whack. You need to listen to this James Brown. Listen to George Clinton. He'd be listening to Dr. Dre stuff and be like, that's whack. He got that from George Clinton. So it's like when you hear the older dudes now and they you know, talking crazy about the youngins, that's exactly how you sound. You sound like your pops.
Yeah.
You know, and that's whack. Like, let the kids be kids. Let them go through what they gonna go through the same way we went through what we went through. You don't think that, go look at an old Wu-Tang video and tell me they didn't used to look ridiculous. I'm serious. Hair all crazy, pants hanging off their ass, shades with one islands, like, they look crazy too. You just gotta let kids be kids, man.
But how do you feel about the new hairstyles that like Lil Uzi and other like more new artists are coming out with?
I don't care. Like you can go on my Facebook, I got an old picture when I was like 14, I had the big afro with the split ends and all that. Like, I don't care, like let them do them, like they're kids. Like you always gotta remember, man, and I'm not comparing none of these brothers to Malcolm X, I just use this analogy. Malcolm X was once Malcolm Little. People have to grow, people have to evolve, people have to go through the process of life. Let little Uzi do what he do. As long as, my biggest thing is, man, just as far as the content, you know what I mean? Like, I don't like all the celebration of drug use, you know, that's going on. I feel like that can influence kids in a negative way. But other than that, man, you just gotta let the youth be the youth, you know, and you just be the OG and just give the brothers counsel, you know what I mean? That's what the Bible says. The Bible says old men for counsel, you know, young men for war. Like, you know, I'm just here to give these brothers some guidance, you know what I mean? And give them some direction. But other than that, let the kids rock out, go, do your thing.
I saw that you were talking to Nikki, and she was actually saying how she likes Little Uzi. But then you mentioned that some people say that she doesn't like to give credit when it's due. Yeah. How do you feel, you know, that's occurring in the hip hop game?
I mean, I think energy goes both ways, you know. What, did the mic go up? Hello? Y'all can hear me though, right?
We here?
Yeah, I think energy goes both ways, you know. It's the weirdest thing to me. The OGs in the game want to disrespect the youngins, but then act surprised when the youngins disrespect them. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna pay homage to you. How much homage you want? You know what I'm saying? If I'm gonna pay homage to you, but you disrespecting on my generation every 5 seconds. And not saying that's what Nikki does, but I'm just saying, like, I can understand where she don't have to pay homage to everybody. Like, she has always paid homage to Foxy. She's always paid homage to Lauryn Hill. She paid homage to Lil' Kim. If Lil' Kim wanted more than that, I can understand Nikki after a while being like, yeah, whatever, beat it, you know? So it's like energy goes both ways, man. You gotta respect the youth if you want the youth to respect you.
Yeah. How do you feel about celebrities coming on your show and being like kind of salty, kind of disrespectful towards the things that you have to say? Like, do you maintain those professional relationships, or you're like, got a blast, I'm gonna cut you off?
I don't know them. I don't know them. I don't know them.
Right.
Like Birdman, I didn't know Birdman before that interview. And I don't know him now. Like, so it's like, I had an opinion about Birdman. Why you ain't pay Lil Wayne his money, Birdman? You know, that's all I wanted to know. Why would you sign? I mean, that's just common sense, right? Like, I remember getting on the radio and be like, why would anybody ever sign to Birdman with his history of not paying artists? Like, would you, if you was hearing about a place of employment, right? And you had other employees there saying to you, man, we don't never get our checks, man. We ain't get paid in 6 months. Why would you fill out an application to that place? So that was just common sense to me. So he got upset about that. I mean, and the whole, you know, him kissing Lil Wayne in the mouth, but we saw that. Like, we saw you do that. Like, you can't get upset.
That's a fact.
That's a fact.
Get mad when someone brings it to the table.
I didn't make that up, you know? So, but, you know, I didn't know him before that interview, and I don't know him afterwards. So it's like, I don't have to maintain any relationship, you know?
So if he coming right now, what you doing? Because I got your follow-up, but you got to let me know.
I'm gonna sit right here. I'm gonna say, what's up, Birdman? I'm gonna say, y'all want to put some respect on his name?
Oh, my God.
That's what I'm gonna say. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah. So how do you think you've been able to build your brand, Charlamagne the God? You was mentioning how internet was really booming when you were coming up with radio. So how do you think social media has come into play?
That's a very tough question for me, because it's a question that I've only started thinking about in the past year and a half. And it's funny because, you know, I never had a manager. I just got a manager, you know, my homegirl Karen. Like, she started managing me like maybe like a year and a half ago. And like, she's really taken me to the next level. And you know, that question is so weird to me, because I'm like, what is a brand? Because I feel like, you know, products are brands. Like, that Aquafina's a brand, you know what I mean? You know, these YSLs I got on are a brand, you know what I mean? Like, but, humble brag. But, but it's like, as a person, it almost feels weird saying you're a brand, because I feel like that's a perception that you're gonna always try to feed into. Like, if somebody says your brand is wild and provocative and controversial, you might always try to be wild, provocative, and controversial. You know what I'm saying? Like, after a while, that gets old.
But everybody hears Charlamagne the God, and they already have their own assumptions about what Charlamagne is. So do you think the people have created your brand, or do you think that's just what it is?
Maybe. I mean, I'd rather that, you know, but you know, truthfully speaking, I define myself, you know what I mean? I understand everybody has different perceptions, and, you know, you might ask 10 different people what they think about Charlamagne, you might get 10 different answers, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I define myself. But I just think you just have to be true to whatever it is that you do. You have to be true to yourself. You have to be authentic to you. Like, I don't do anything every day but wake up and try to be me. Being me is the easiest thing in the world. Like, that is the easiest brand to maintain. Like, all I gotta do is wake up, say my prayers like I always do, read one of my Dr. Wayne W. Dyer affirmations, read my Joel Osteen affirmations, eat my oatmeal, drink my protein shake, drink my green juice, and I can just go on that radio and be who I am. Like, that's the easiest thing in the world to do. So it's like, for me, I don't know what my brand is. You know, I just know that I'm just getting up every day and I'm doing me and I'm being me, and the brand continues to grow.
Right. Yeah. So whether the people made the brand or not, you still do have 1.3 million followers on the gram. So you're pretty popping. What is your advice to us college students in terms of just like honing our craft, taking that and blasting it on social media?
Hey man, I think, you know, F them followers, get your dollars up, man. You know, and empower yourself and figure out some ways to make some money. Like, kids can't eat no likes, bro. You know what I mean? And them student loans in the future ain't gonna get paid because you got 2 million followers on Instagram. Sally Mae don't give a damn about your followers, okay? So I just feel like, you know, we just all need to figure out ways to empower ourselves. If you're gonna use the internet to sell something. You know, use the internet to promote something that can get you some money. Like, I just don't feel like you should be doing things just to have followers online. But social media has definitely... Yeah,
because people take careers as social media. Like, they make social media their careers. How do you feel about that?
Social media has to be like it has to be a fork on the table. Like, it can't be
the table.
The table, you know what I mean? Or like I always say, you need when you're eating a steak, you can't just eat a steak with a knife.
Right.
You need the fork and you need the knife. So whatever, you know, your main career is, for me it's radio. That's my fork. The social media is the knife. You know what I mean? And that helps me properly cut up my steak. So for me, I use social media for what it is. It's just a tool to reach people. It's flattened the world.
Yeah.
Like, it's really leveled the playing field. Like, I'm getting booked. I can go to London. You know what I mean? I went to London to do a podcast. Like, they don't even have the Breakfast Club in London, but they just see social media. They see YouTube, you know? So it's like, use it for that and understand the world is watching. The world is watching, so, you know, be mindful of what you put out there.
Yeah, I know a lot of students at Q's, including myself, we use social media to promote a lot of our events here.
As you should.
Yeah, so I know for me, one of the things that I posted, we participated in a die-in. So,
a die-in?
A die-in.
A die-in?
Die-in, like D-I-E.
That sounds like some cult shit. Like, y'all all gather to commit suicide? What the hell y'all doing? What is a die-in?
I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
So, so many of us, we gathered on the quad. Mm-hmm. And we participated in the die-in. So we pretty much had names of different people who have been killed, murdered by police, and have resulted in like police brutality.
That's hard.
Yeah, so we laid on the ground.
Y'all scared the white people here crazy, man. Scared the white people when y'all did that.
Yeah, so we were laying on the ground, so you know they were scared. And we had the names of the people who were murdered on top of us for about 15 minutes. We sang a song, we did a prayer, and we do more events, you know, to promote Black Lives Matter and different things like that. So to switch gears a little bit, I did see that you posted Most Lives Matter about a year ago.
Most Lives Matter?
Most Lives Matter.
I don't remember that, but I can agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Most Lives Matter.
Most Lives Matter.
Yeah.
BET wrote an article about it.
Most Lives Matter?
Most Lives Matter.
What was the context? Tell me, I don't remember that.
You said the moral is Most Lives Matter. Because it was in relation to Jeb Bush, how he was saying that the movement is pretty much like irrelevant, like non-existent, like it shouldn't be.
Well, I personally believe Black Lives Matter. I hate when people say all lives matter, because how can all lives matter if black lives don't matter?
Right.
Like it just doesn't add up. You can't say all lives matter if black lives don't matter. Because last time I checked, we were a part of that all as well, right? So, like I told the chick Tommy on there, man, you don't go to an HIV/AIDS rally and stand up and start screaming about cancer. We are here talking about HIV/AIDS in the moment.
Yeah.
Now, as far as most lives matter, I probably said that because truth is, some of y'all don't matter. Like it's just like, like some of y'all just irrelevant. Some people we can just do away with. Like that's the reality.
I thought you was reading your affirmations, getting your health.
No, I am. But the reality of the situation the reality of the situation is some people need to be euthanized. It's some people. It is some people we can do without in America. Like I come across them every day. I look online sometime and I'm like, what the hell is this person talking about? Like if you wake up every morning and you're just negative and you're bitter and you don't got nothing to say and you're just a pessimist, die. So that's probably what I meant when I said most lives matter.
Right.
Yeah.
So we saw the video with you and Tommy. Mm-hmm. Do you think people question your credibility to talk about politics?
I mean, yeah, they should. I ain't no politician. I'm not.
But you speak about it a lot, so.
I mean, listen, I'm just like any other person, man. I have my views. You know what I mean? I watch CNN. I watch MSNBC. I'm aware of what's going on in the world. You know what I mean? Like I'm a fool. I'd be a fool not to be concerned about what's going on in the world. Yeah. You know, I care. I care about America. I live here. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't just ignore what's going on. So if people ask me my opinion about certain things, I'm definitely not afraid to express my opinion. You know what I mean? I'm not a political scholar. Like I leave that up to my people like Bakari Sellers, who's a really good friend of mine, you know, from South Carolina, Nina Turner. Like I have the privilege and honor of kicking it with a lot of people who are way more well-versed in those arenas than I am. But I mean, as far as Tommy, to me, that wasn't even politics. That was just her misrepresenting black history. You know what I mean? She was trying to call the Black Panthers a terrorist organization, which was so far from the truth. You know what I mean? Say that about the KKK. Don't say that about the Black Panthers.
Right.
You know, so I just wanted to go on there and just, you know, give her a little game about the Black Panthers. And I mean, I'm sure it's people out there that are more well-versed on the Black Panthers than I am. But since I have the outlet and the platform, and I gave her Donkey of the Day for that, and she reached out to me, I have no problem going out there and representing.
Right. You mentioned the KKK. So the KKK has been in Syracuse, I believe, this past summer. How do you feel about kind of the rebirth, quote unquote, of the KKK? And do you have any ideas for us as Syracuse students on how we can, you know, tackle that issue?
Well, this is the thing. That goes back to what I was saying about most lives matter. If you're a member of the KKK, you don't matter. Just die. Like who can? Like what? Like if you want to be a part of a hate group that actually hates another, you know, race just because of the color of their skin, you're worthless to me.
Right.
Like you don't matter. Like you don't exist to me. Like you could pass tomorrow and I would not care. Like F them, good riddance. So, you know, I would quote Maya Angelou right here when she said, you know, hate has caused many problems but hasn't solved one yet. You know what I mean? So I guess, you know, the only way to drive out darkness is with love. You know what I mean? Like you can even pull Michelle Obama's quote. You know, when they go low, we go high. You know what I mean? I guess that's just what we got to do. You can't turn out to be what you say that you hate. You know, that's my biggest thing. Like as much as, you know, you can go see Birth of a Nation. I messed up. I went to go see Birth of a Nation and I saw 13 in one weekend. I didn't want to talk to white people for a week. I'm just getting back into the groove. But you know what? All right, how are you today, man? What's up, man? But you don't want to become what you hate. Like, I don't ever want to hate somebody just because of the color of their skin. I think that's whack. You know what I'm saying? Like, Martin Luther King Jr. had the illest quote when he said he wanted to live in a world where people are judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. I think that we got to expound that in 2016, going into 2017, and say color of skin, you know, gender, sexuality, class. Like, yo, just judge people based off their character and nothing else. So I don't ever want to get to that point where white people walk in the room and I'm like, look at them damn devils. I saw 13. I know they plotting to get. Like, I don't ever want to get to that point because I know that's what a lot of them do to us. You know, so when it comes to people like the KKK, we just can't. Don't turn out to be what you hate, man.
Right. I want to get this right, so I'm going to read it. Tommy also said that your co-host, Angela Yee, read off some comments on The Breakfast Club that promoted white supremacy. But she said that Angela failed to read the comments that were racist towards Tommy and her family. But we know that to be racist, you have to have power. So racism is systemic. How do you feel about when Tommy said that?
Well, I think racism is systemic, but I don't necessarily think you have to have power to be racist, because I'm from South Carolina, man, and them poor, disenfranchised white people that look like they should have been on Duck Dynasty, but they broke, and they live in trailer parks, and they have sex with their sisters.
But being white,
they will hate you just as much as anybody. They will hate you just because you're black, and they still feel better than you.
But white privilege still does exist.
Oh, for sure.
So that power is automatically given to white people. So
I got feelings about that. Okay, I believe that systemic racism exists. I don't believe that privilege is given to anybody. I think that we do have some white people out here that just waste a good white skin, and the reason I say that is because the reason I say that is because white is not an easy path to success. If it was, there would be no poor white people. Every white person would be rich. Every white person would be in a position of power. But you go down south, man, you see some really piss poor white people. So I don't think that being white is an easy path. I think that, if you're white and you create those opportunities for yourself, then yes, you have access to a different type of privilege because of the color of your skin. But I don't think that being white just automatically means you're going to win at life.
Right. But you don't even think that, just by the color of their skin, they are naturally, treated differently by different groups of people?
Yeah, because we live in America, and America is 70% white. So
that's white privilege to me.
I agree with that, but I think that, when you live in a country where people are 70% white, you just naturally gravitate towards something that looks like you. It's just like me. If I'm, in this auditorium right now, if somebody black from South Carolina walks up to me, I'm gonna show them a little bit more love than I probably would somebody else, only because they're black and they're from South Carolina. So that to me, they got privilege because of that. But I'm gonna be honest, man, I'm a little bit too, what's the word I want to use? I believe in my God too much to feel like somebody has more power than me or more ability than me just because of the color of their skin.
Right.
Okay, you got white privilege, but I got God's privilege. You know what I mean? And I believe in black privilege, because being black is fly. You know what I mean? Like God created us this way. Like, you gotta live with what you live with. You know how they say you gotta play with the cards you're dealt? God made me black for a reason. He made me a man for a reason, So it's like, I gotta embrace that too. I'm not gonna look at this guy and be like, oh, he's white, he's better than me. Or he's white, he can do more than me. I'm doing better than a lot of white people. All right?
Yeah. So next question. I want to read off this too, because Tommy also said, she said a lot of things. But she said that the Black Lives Matter movement has changed and has become a form of intimidation and has led to depolicing. What do you think is the current state of the movement now?
I think the best thing about the Black Lives Matter movement is that you can't label the Black Lives Matter movement. You know how if you watch the documentary 13, whenever they want to stop a movement, they just take out the leader. If it was, Malcolm X or Martin Luther King Jr. or I can't slip in my mind right now, the brother from the Black Panthers. But whenever they want to stop a movement, they just take out what they perceive to be the heads of the movement. The beautiful thing about the Black Lives Matter movement, you don't know who the leader is. You know what I mean? It's just a mass group of people all over the country who are just out here, wanting, justice for black people.
Right.
Simple as that. So I think the Black Lives Matter movement is strong. I think it's a movement that's going to define a generation. I just want us to have some type of plan at the end of the day. That's what I like. I like DeRay, because DeRay actually has plans. You know what I mean? He's not just out here talking about problems, and that's what we got to stop doing. We got to stop getting on social media and just discussing problems all the time, and we got to start discussing solutions. And one thing, that's what I like about DeRay. He has actual solutions and actual plans, and DeRay's very important, man, because he has access to these politicians. He has access to these people that, we want to hear our stories. We want to hear our plight.
Yeah.
So, guys like him can actually get real change done. So I think the Black Lives Matter movement is dope, and I think it's doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing, and that's raising awareness for the injustice that's going on to black people in America.
Right. Well, this has been a fun and serious conversation, but I want to leave off with some positivity.
Okay.
So what is any last piece of advice that you would give to us here as college students? So you have the juice. Spill the tea, because we need to know, what can we do? What are some action steps that we can do to further ourselves?
Y'all already doing it. Like, I mean, y'all are in college. I mean, the only other advice I would give y'all other than being in college is, man, you know, pursue your passion. Like, you're already doing what society is saying you should do. Society says, go to college, get a job.
Right.
That's an old school mentality. I say, go to college and create a job. You know what I mean? Like, don't have the mindset of a worker, have the mindset of a boss. Now, everybody can't be a boss, but you should empower yourself and find something else that you love to do on the side other than school. Like, what's your passion? Like, how many of y'all in here are really pursuing your passions? Oh, that's dope.
I'm right here.
Okay, that's fly. So, I mean, as long as you're doing that, everything else will fall into place. Make sure you get that education, make sure you get your bachelor's degree, but continue to pursue your passion, man, and I think y'all gonna be all right.
Thank you so much, Charlamagne. Give it up for Charlamagne the God, you guys. So, the conversation is not over. We're going to take it to Twitter, and we're going to look at some Twitter questions. So, you guys have been using the hashtag #AskTheGod, and we're about to ask the God.
I'm with it.
All right. First, Twitter, can everybody hear me, first of all? Yeah, good, okay. First question comes from Craig Bobby. I hope I'm saying that right. What are your thoughts on the trajectory rap is headed in? Are melodic notes and auto-tune crunches, are they the necessities to the game now?
Whoever asked that question is a very pessimistic person. And I'm gonna tell you,
I hope y'all not in the audience.
I'm gonna tell you why they're a pessimistic person, because he's focusing on everything he thinks is negative. Like, I hate when people do that, because hip hop is in probably the greatest space that it's ever been in. Like, anybody can say, oh, I don't like Lil Yachty. Oh, I don't like Lil Uzi. You know, I don't like Young Thug. I don't like this guy. But yo, it's 15 other rappers out there that are super lyrical.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think Young Thug is hella talented. I love that melodic mumbling shit. I can't understand him, but it feels good. But I'm saying, you got, if you're a guy that loves lyrics, you got Chance the Rapper, you got Vince Staples, you got Vic Mensa, you got Drake and Kendrick and Cole and Wale, and you got Tink, and you got all of these dope ass spitters. Yeah. So for you to just say focus on the 2 or 3 dudes that's doing auto-tune, you don't want to see the good that's going on. That's why I say you're a pessimistic person. You don't want to see the good.
All right, our next question comes from Kevin Brea. I want to know, how do you think we can change the way black males are portrayed by the media?
Oh, wow, that's a great question.
Yeah, that is.
I mean, I think we got to stop living up to the stereotypes that the media has created for us. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm the type of person, I want to defy stereotypes. You know, I'm executive producing a lot of TV shows now, and one of the biggest things that I always tell these executives in the meetings is I want to take hip hop out of the box that is currently in. Like, I'm not going to take, for example, somebody like Noriega. Noriega is a OG rapper from Queens. You know, Nori has really shot people. Like, Nori is thugged out entertainment. Like, if you know Nori, CNN, he's official. But now he's a 38-year-old man living in Miami, and he's got, you know, kids and a wife, and he loves food. So his acronym is On the Run Eating. So let's take him and make him like the black and Spanish Anthony Bourdain. You know what I mean? Like, no, we're not gonna put him in a movie and he's shooting people. No, we're not gonna put him on a TV show and he's playing the hustler on the block. Like, let's take him and do something totally different. So it's just like, for me, it's just like, we can't be afraid to, you know, just step outside of the box and do things that they necessarily wouldn't perceive us as doing. Like, what is, like I hate when they like, oh, that's something a black person would do. What does that even mean?
But do you also think that it's partially on the black men who are accepting these roles in media? Like, let's say someone comes up to you and be like, Charlamagne, this is your role for a movie. Obviously, we know that you're not going to take it, but what about the other actors out there?
No, I'm not going to say I'm not going to take it. I'm saying that it depends on what it is. I'm just saying that we can't always,
sometimes.
We can't always,
but not always.
Portray those stereotypes. We can't always live up to those stereotypes. Like, don't be afraid to do things outside of the box. But the main thing we got to do is just get rid of that gangster mentality. It's corny. Like, it's so corny to act like you a street dude. And you look, yo, I'm telling you, that street stuff has an expiration date. Nothing looks dumber than a 40-year-old dude with cornrows still talking about the street and the attempted murders and the bodies he got. Like, yo, who cares? Like, I don't care. Like, that's just corny. Like, I don't respect that. I respect the guy that's coming up to me talking about this new app he got. You know what I mean? Or this dude that's telling me he just made, you know, $5 million, you know, selling T-shirts online. Like, I like that type of stuff. Like, that's dope to me.
Right.
Okay, so this is the last Twitter question, but afterwards we are going to go to audience questions, okay? So this question comes from Joel, and he wants to know, how did you come up with Donkey of the Day?
Oh, Donkey of the Day is necessary because I feel like you have to give...
Necessary.
I feel like you have to give people the credit they deserve for being stupid. And, you know, I was listening to an old G Unit mixtape, man, and 50 Cent says, I pull up on the curve, I put my fresh sneakers on the sidewalk, I look around at all these dudes stuck in the hood, and I say, look at these donkeys, a bunch of fucking jackasses. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what this is. So it's just like, yeah, you're a donkey. Like, you know, if you stagnated and you stuck in the hood or just stuck in your ways, period, and you don't like growth and you don't like evolution, that's what causes you to do stupid things. And I'm here to give you the credit you deserve for being stupid.
Donkey of the Day. Y'all
Donkey
heard it
of
from
the Day.
Charlamagne. So we're going to take it to audience questions. Y'all not about to ask Charlamagne, add me on Snapchat, give me your number, can you be my mentor? But we're going to be in the audience. So any questions from the audience?
All right, so unfortunately, y'all, we have no microphones, so whoever I choose, I just want to speak loudly.
They took all y'all microphones after that die-in. They was like,
Oh my God.
we don't want y'all Negroes to be no louder.
I just want to know, you obviously know about Viceland. What's your favorite show on Viceland?
On Viceland?
Yeah.
So funny, I never watched Vice until last night. Last night was the first time I ever watched Vice, because my dudes, Jesus and Mero, they have a show on Vice now, and it's called, Jesus and Mero. But yeah, and it comes on 11 o'clock. That's the first time I ever watched Vice, and there was a program that came on before it called Party. It was something about parties, and I know Bushwick Bill was on there talking about, you know, a crazy ass party, but yeah, last night was the first night I ever watched Vice. So if you ask me what's my favorite show, I'm gonna say Jesus and Mero. Yeah.
Next question.
I'll go to you back here. Yes.
So my question is, how do you think like streaming services like Spotify and Tidal, like a lot of people use that to listen to music when they used to use the radio. So how do you think that affected like the popularity and like the future of radio?
Well, it hasn't, because, you know, if you look at listenership for radio, I think in like the early 90s, listenership was like over 90%, and now it's over 90% now. And I know as far as the company I work for, iHeartRadio, we have a streaming service, which is the iHeartRadio app. So a lot of people, they stream us as well. I listen to Tidal. I know for a fact I listen to Tidal and iTunes way more than I listen to regular terrestrial radio. You know, I was listening to Pusha T Circles yesterday on Tidal, and I ain't heard that on the radio yet. Well, no, we did premiere. We premiered that about a week ago, but we, you know, I go to Tidal and I go to iTunes because that's where things are being released. Like, you know, Solange Seat at the Table didn't come out on the radio. You know, Beyonce little Sneaky Lemonade album didn't come out on the radio. That came out via Tidal. So it's like I go to check for the new music on Tidal and Apple and iTunes. I don't think it's necessarily affecting radio, because radio's gotten into that field with the iHeartRadio app. So they adapted to what was going on.
Cool. Let's get some questions down here. I see a lot of people with their hands down here in the front.
And guys, also feel free to say your name and your major before you ask your question. So you right here. Oh, thank you. All right, so I'm Shadavia Wallace. I'm a second-year master's student in higher education program.
What up, Shadavia?
My question is, I just watched your interview with Tracy Morgan. Like, how was it being in that room and seeing like his frame of mind, like completely different from his accident?
Very, very inspiring, very enlightening. I love when you can hear God through people. I love when people, you know, go through things and they tell their testimonies. You know, I mean, it was more intense after the interview, because after the interview he just broke down and cried, which I'm sure that's something that he does every damn day, reliving that accident and thinking about his man passing. So it just made me appreciate life. Because I feel like sometimes, man, smart people learn from their own mistakes, wise people learn from the mistakes of others. And, when I see Tracy go through what he went through, and he's telling me over and over, appreciate life. Like, I don't have to go through that accident to understand what he means by that. Like, I don't have to and don't want to lose any friends to understand what he means by that. Like, I get it. Every day you just got to wake up, you got to thank God for another day of life, and I don't care what else is going on in your world, man. Just appreciate that you're breathing. Appreciate the little things. Appreciate that you can walk. Appreciate that you got 2 eyes that you can see out of. Appreciate that you got arms. A lot of us taking our arms for granted, okay? Until you see a paraplegic and you like, oh, how does he roll a blunt? Like, it's crazy. For real.
All right, any more questions, you guys?
Yeah.
Marlon, doing a post-baccalaureate certificate in biotech.
What's up, Marlon?
How you doing? This is more of an elaboration for tonight. Some things you said how folks about your faith for God, how it's been a motivator of how you believe, why you're so positive, how you believe that we shouldn't become the things we hate. But how do you then go from there and say most lives matter or some people don't deserve to be here, knowing especially particularly in our own culture, mental illness, people not believing that life is worth living is such a big issue. And current issue for people like Kid Cudi.
Well, for me, I'm not speaking for people like Kid Cudi. I'm just speaking for negative, evil people. I don't see a reason for negativity on this planet. I don't see a reason for evil. Now, maybe you can enlighten me. Is there a reason for the KKK?
Well, they're ignorant. Simple as that. Ignorant.
So if they disappeared tomorrow, would you care?
Yes. Through my faith, I personally believe that all lives are worth living, and you can find your truth, but just by ending it doesn't mean that doesn't solve anything.
I ain't say nobody should kill themselves. I just said people should disappear. Listen, let's not act like God has not pressure washed this planet a couple times, okay? When God told Noah to build that ark, you know what I mean? He didn't tell Noah to make nobody believe him. He just said, build the ark, the flood's coming. These people are crazy. I'm about to wipe them out. Sodom and Gomorrah, he told Lot, and Lot was just like you. Lot said, no, God, there's some good people out there. God said, find me one. Lot couldn't find one. So God said, haul ass, and if anybody turn around, they're going to turn to salt. Lot's wife turned around and she turned to salt, but God pressure washed that place. And guess what? I feel like another pressure wash coming. And you're going to be sitting there like, boy, Charlamagne told me most lives matter.
All right. I see some questions on the left. To the left, to the left. There's mad people right here.
Hello. Honestly, just be yourself, because nobody can be you. That's why all of our DNA is different. Like, don't look at what I do. Don't look at what an Angie Martinez does. Don't look at what a Wendy Williams did. Don't look at what a Nessa does. Whoever you like in media, don't look at what they do and try to trace their blueprint. Look into yourself and figure out what is it about you that makes you unique. You know what I mean? What is your POV on a situation that you can present that somebody else can't present? Like, I feel like if you truly, honestly just do you and be you, you will carve your own way. Everybody that is successful in any form of media has carved their own way. Stephen Colbert is not like Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel is not like Trevor Noah. Trevor Noah is not like a Carson Daly. A Carson Daly is not like a Ryan Seacrest. They all have different, unique skill sets. They've all tapped into what it is that they are good at, and they got their lane. So that's what I would tell you to do, to carve your own way and to make your own way. Just truly, honestly be yourself. Find that one thing that God gave you that makes you unique.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This young lady over here has a question.
Hi, my name's Alon Troy, and I'm a fashion design major.
How are you?
Good, how are you? But I had a question. You said like a lot of people tend to multitask and like tend to own their craft and then try to own a lot of things. Now that you own your craft, what do you think is your next move, or do you feel like you could further in your craft?
I mean, I got a lot of things that I'm doing, but radio is always my main focus. Radio is, that's why I'm gonna leave here and get in the car service and take my ass back to Jersey. You know what I'm saying? Because I got to be on the air in the morning. I just feel like radio is the one thing that I love to do. That's the one thing that I'm constantly trying to get better at every day. But I got a very great TV career. You know, right now I'm doing, you know, I'm executive producing literally like 13 different shows. 2 of them have been greenlit. I'm gonna be announcing those 2 in like the next week or so. I got a book coming out in March through Simon and Schuster. And actually my book is about, you know, creating privilege, you know, because I feel like, you know, opportunity comes to those who create it. So my book is about creating privilege for yourself. And so it's just like, yeah, I mean, I have a lot of other things going on, but I focus on one thing at a time. When I'm at the radio station, it's all about radio. When I'm in my office at Viacom, it's all about TV. When, you know, it's time for me to work on my book, it's all about me working on my book. Like, you just have to focus on one thing at a time, but that one thing, which is that big thing for me, which is radio, that's always my main focus. What's up, my brother?
Yeah, what's up? Right now is the generational poverty, and it doesn't seem to change. And one of the biggest criticisms that has been leveled against successful people of color is that they don't support interventions enough that can help address that intergenerational poverty. We are taught to be the change we want to see. Do you think those black folks that have made it and are doing it very well and making all that money are supporting interventions to address the generational poverty that exists in black communities? And what can we do also to be a solution to that problem?
You said generational poverty?
Yes.
I think we all can do better. I think that a lot of people in our community, you gotta understand, these are first generation millionaires. These are first generation tens of millionaires. Like truth to the matter is black people got new money. So, you know, when you got new money, you know, you have to educate yourself, and you're probably learning as you go. And it's really hard to teach people if you're still learning yourself. I mean, I meet so many guys, man, especially 1990s rappers. It was so much money in the 90s. They were rich, broke again. Then they ended up getting rich. So now they understand money. They understand financial literacy. So now that they understand financial literacy, they're able to teach other people. So like I said, I think it's just hard to teach people something that you're still learning yourself. Like, white people have been making money since money been getting made. Like they day one with their money. That's why they on all of it. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's easy to teach generational wealth to other generations when 2 or 3 generations before you taught it to you. Like, we're all first generation, you know, millionaires and 100,000aires. Like, we're really just learning when it comes to money. So I just think that's a process that's just gonna happen over time. What's up, my brother? Oh, shoot, he must be the weed man. Y'all got mad excited when he was like
This coming from, like, my name is D. Marquez. I go by Black. On campus, stands for Believe in Limits Actually Create Kings.
Word.
And you know, just like you said, follow your passion as a person, you know, very knowledgeable about music. What would you say to an artist who's coming up in the game right now, underground artist? What are 3 important things you should include in your music now to make it, you know, like kind of reach that peak of that point that you really wanted to be at for people to hear it?
I think the number one thing is what I tell anybody about anything. Just truly authentically be yourself. Be who you are. Don't look at somebody using auto-tune and say you got to use auto-tune. Don't look at somebody saying, oh, you're doing a Metro Boomin record. I need a beat that sounds like Metro Boomin. Like, just truly, honestly, be yourself. And I think, man, the biggest thing I want to hear from artists right now is I want to hear socially conscious music in a cool way. You know, I don't want socially conscious preachy music. I want socially conscious music that's easily digestible. Like, you got to put the medicine inside the candy. I feel like we live in a very dire time right now. Like, you know what I mean? And I need to hear some people that's reflecting what's going on right now. Like, yo, you know what was so dope to me, man? When Barack Obama was running for president in '08 and Jeezy dropped that Recession album. Yes. That album reflected, no, that wasn't '08. Yeah, it was '08. That album reflected what was going on in that time so crazy. Even down to my president is black, my Lambo's blue, and I'll be goddamn if my rims ain't too. That don't got nothing to do with nothing. But it sounded hard, like it was just empowering and enlightening. And it's like, I want to hear just more people make socially conscious stuff like that. Like, I love what Big Crit is doing. You know, I love guys like that, man. Like, I just want to hear somebody reflecting the time of now. Like, what album this year could I go to and be like, damn, man, yeah, when Donald Trump was running for president, it was crazy. Like, it was a crazy time. Like, I haven't heard it yet. Oh, YG, right. I forgot all about YG. See, but that's what I mean. That's socially conscious to me. Fuck Donald Trump is a very positive message. It's a very powerful, empowering message. What's up, bro?
Miami, and I'm an entrepreneurship and finance major. And you know, I know you've always been in the media and always listening to music. I want to know what albums have inspired you the most in your career.
In my life? Oh, man. In my life, man, I mean, Jay-Z, The Blueprint, Jay-Z, Reasonable Doubt. It's a Jay-Z line for every situation in life. I'm dead ass serious. Like, I was on The Daily Show. I was on The Daily Show and I quoted a Jay-Z line in reference to like this election. Because, you know, nobody likes Trump and a lot of people don't like Hillary either. So it's a lot of people like, oh, I'm not gonna vote. I don't think you should sit at home. I think you should go out and vote. But I like the Jay-Z line when Jay-Z said on his first album, fuck government, we politic ourselves. And that just means that, you know, you gotta empower yourself. You know, you have to empower yourself. You have to empower yourself because when you empower yourself, you'll be able to empower your own community, you know. And I'm just expanding on that line and just saying, I honestly think he meant that we need to empower ourselves, and I think we need to get more involved in local politics. I feel like mayors and governors can affect your community more so than, you know, the heads of state. So, you know, Jay-Z, Reasonable Doubt, Jay-Z, The Blueprint, like Jay-Z just been giving us that game since day one, man. I can't think of nobody that influenced me, you know, and made me just want to be a better human being, an entrepreneur more than Hov. So yeah, any Jay-Z album, really Reasonable Doubt and The Blueprint. Yeah.
So guys, we definitely have like a lot of time left, so don't worry, I'll most likely get to almost all questions. So I'll go to you right here.
What's up, my brother? How are you?
I'm an economics major from Chicago. As an avid, I just really wanted to know, we talk about like a lot of your success and things of that nature, like with a lot of people. And I was looking at the Kevin Hart interview, and I just wanted to know what role did failure play into the making of Charlamagne that we see today?
Everything. I've been fired 4 times. Like, no, literally, and that's just radio. In life, I've been fired 7. My sister fired me from Taco Bell after 2 weeks, and she was the manager.
Oh.
You know, so I've worked at 7 different radio stations, and I've gotten fired 4 times. But every time I got fired, I ended up getting a better job. And they would always tell me the same things every time I got fired. They would say, we're moving in another direction. And I remember sitting down having a conversation with my homegirl, Kendra G. She does radio in Chicago. And she said, yo, it's not that they're moving you in another direction. She said, God's moving you in another direction. And I truly feel that way. I mean, you gotta fail in order to succeed. I don't even trust people who've never failed in life because I don't believe in losses. I believe in lessons. So you gotta ask yourself, you know, in life, you either gonna win or you're gonna learn. So what did you learn from that situation? As long as you learn something from the situation, it's not a loss. So your failures don't define you, but they kind of do define you because they test your perseverance. They test your will to win. They test your strength. Can you keep going? How do I tell people, yo, you want to be, you know, a nationally syndicated co-host in 70 markets, but can you stand being fired? Can you stand being 30 years old like I was with a 3-year-old and having to go back and live in South Carolina with his mom for a year? Can you stand that? Can you stand getting unemployment checks for a year? Which was great, by the way, I appreciate it. But can you stand that? Like, you gotta be able to stand that and stomach that and say, you know what, I'm gonna keep going. I know something else is better out there for me. So yeah, failure is, you ain't trying hard enough if you're not failing. Like, it's impossible. It's just impossible.
So she has a question right here.
Hi, my name is Naj, and I'm a finance and international business major.
How are you?
And I was just wondering, like, what are some of the biggest fears you have for your children growing up in today's society?
Oh man, I suffer from parental paranoia. I mean, I suffer from severe parental paranoia. I got a lot of different crazy white people, police, pedophiles, because I got 2 daughters. You know what I'm saying? I suffer from severe parental paranoia. That's something that I'm trying to shake out of my head. Like, you can't have faith in a higher power, faith in God, and be like stressing over stuff like that, because you just gotta, you know, send them out into the world every day. And you know, the news don't make it no better. When you turn it on the news and you seeing, oh, this school just got shot up, or this movie theater just got shot up, or the police just killed another unarmed black person, or, you know, this young girl got molested, or this girl got beat up. You're like, yo, I'm gonna have to kill somebody one day. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I just suffer from severe parental paranoia. It's just something that I'm trying to work through, but I'd be lying to you if I told you I didn't suffer from that. Like, that's a constant on my mind all the time. Like, and I hate that, because I'm the type person, man, I believe in the power of positive thinking. I believe that the things that you want to happen in your life, you should constantly think about. The things that you don't want to happen, you shouldn't think about at all. So I'm trying to get those negative thoughts out of my mind, but it's impossible, man. That's when you truly understand what your parents went through when you was younger. Like, my grandma, God bless her dead, she was always tripping. Like, always like, nah, they gonna come out the woods and get us. I'm like, who? Like, who? But now I understand that just that paranoia. Like, so that's just something I'm working on within myself.
So we have time for one more question right here, and then we'll
How are you? I didn't hear you.
I'm good. Ramona.
Hey, Ramona. Ramona Quimby. I used to read mad Ramona Quimby books. Yeah.
I was wondering, you said that like your passion is radio, and you said that it's like not changing, that's the problem. So what do you like plan on doing to change that, or like how do you feel that you're like making it not change?
You got to be the change that you want to see in any situation. In any situation, you have to be the change that you want to see. So, you know, me just being in the position that I'm in, I'm able to, you know, talk to the CEO of iHeartMedia, who's Bob Pittman. You know what I mean? Like, I actually have lunch with the CEO of my company. I'm able to talk to a Doc Winters. I'm able to talk to a Thea Mitchell. I'm able to express my concerns and tell them what I feel like we're doing wrong, and how we can, you know, constantly just reflect what's going on in this society, reflect what's going on in this world. And I mean, I think just being in that position is helping. You know what I mean? Just making people aware of what we're missing and what we're not doing. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for your questions. Charlamagne definitely gave us some major keys, but we have a key for you.
Okay.
Yes, Sierra's gonna come up here.
Is this something I need to get for the snap? It's gonna be dope?
Huh? Wait, it's not gonna be, I mean, you gave us a better gift, but this is a small token of our appreciation.
Okay.
This is from me.
Thank you very much. Oh, it's a Syracuse joint? Oh, thank you very much. Okay, go Syracuse. That's
I
dope.
better see you wearing it on the Breakfast Club, Charlamagne.
Listen, I wear anything free.
All right.
I don't buy clothes. I really don't. I'm dead ass serious. The only thing I buy is t-shirts from Target, Mosimo, $9.99.
And YSL, right?
I'm gonna take these back. I'm serious, I'm gonna take these back. See, that's the thing, like when you work at MTV, they got like stylists and stuff, so stylists can pull clothes. So I'm taking these back. Taking these back.
All right, guys, before we wrap it up, we do have a brief surprise for you. So if you look under the seat that you're sitting in, if you
shoot.
Oh, I forgot.
This is dope.
If you have
So we're
something
gonna
special under your seat.
So what you're looking for is basically, it's going to be a piece of paper that says Charlamagne the God. That means that you're able to take a picture, because he will not have time. He's not going to have time to take pictures with everyone in the room. So if you have a paper, that means that you'll be wanted people to actually be able to take a picture. Thank you guys so much again for coming out for Conversation with Charlamagne the God. One more time for Charlamagne.
Nice little conversation we had today.
And those that have a paper, you can either take a picture by yourself or take a picture with 2 of your friends, but it has to be a group photo.
Hey, y'all make sure y'all love each other and wear condoms, okay?
Thank you again.